Yes, is there really a cabal of
Yeah.
interdimensional psychic vampire
Get
pedophiles?
him, Jones. Get him, Alex. Yeah. You got any thoughts on the Diddy indictment? Did you
Yeah,
go through any of that? What'd you think of
yes,
that?
poor child. It's surprising though they didn't indict him for as much as R. Kelly did.
Right.
But the Rico thing, I think they have much more of the Diddy enterprise sorted out, so they really are going to stick it to him on a bunch of different Rico counts. And yeah, if he's presumed innocent, but there's a lot there. And I will say, if you read, and I covered this months ago, the lawsuit that was filed by one of the guy named Lil Rod, which I think is probably the worst rap name ever to go by in this
Yeah.
situation.
Not good. Yeah. Yeah.
The only one worse is there is this case in Florida. It's called the YNW trial, and it's a bunch of rappers. And one of the guys that got murdered, his nickname was Sack Chaser. And I'm like,
Ugh.
I know he's chasing sacks of money, but it's like,
Right. Right. Yeah. I don't know how well that flies in prison. Right.
so. Yeah, Diddy's got a lot of problems there. I mean, he's got the Mann Act violations, allegations, trafficking women across state lines for the purpose of prostitution and sex acts, minors being involved. And if you read the lawsuit that I covered back at the beginning of the year, this guy he filed his lawsuit. It reads like an indictment. It's very well structured. It has a ton of exhibits in it, and it's all these pictures of this guy hanging out with Diddy and Cuba Gooding Jr. And there's like, but if you read it, it talks about, this one rapper just had a great Vegas residency, and it's like it's Usher, and then there's Chris Brown, then there's he lists out like Meek Mill is listed in this complaint. There's a ton of guys who are involved in this. Drake is in this. You know, the scope of what Diddy is going to destroy is going to be very like this is going to send shockwaves. And the thing was, because I ran into a couple people talking about this, who were more connected to the hip hop world. When R. Kelly was going down, they said, the whispers are always out there of like, all these other artists are going down, and then yeah, Diddy's next, and a lot of people are rumoring with Diddy that means like Jay-Z's going down next, or a lot of people are.
Yeah.
A lot of names are going to get spilled.
And one of the things, this isn't really in the scope of legality necessary, but just the way things play out with like reputation. As weird as this sounds, I kind of feel bad for some people that will get caught up in this that maybe didn't do anything nefarious. Like, it is entirely possible that you're like some low level celebrity or whatever that get invited to Diddy's house and you're like, cool, Diddy. And you're sitting there drinking, and maybe you even see people what you think consensually hooking up. Maybe you partake or you don't. And now, knowing what we know in hindsight, you might not have been spiking anyone's drink. You might not have, you may have been totally ignorant of any of that. And unfortunately, I think you'll see a rush to like, oh, that guy was at Diddy's house. He must have did something. He was there, right? And I think I understand the impetus of it because the accusations are so heinous, and you want to be like, well, you didn't know anything? You didn't know that these girls were being drugged? You didn't know they were being brought across state lines? And it's like, but it's entirely within reason that there could be a person like, no, I did not know that. I thought that I was just going to a celebrity's party and there was attractive women there. That's what I thought.
Well, but I will say when it comes to that, I would caution and say, Cat Williams, the comedian, has talked about this a lot. Like, everybody knows what happens at Diddy's house.
Yeah, that's,
Or,
yeah.
Or even 50 Cent. There are these clips of him talking about 10, 15 years ago. Diddy wanted to take me shopping, and Diddy's like, 50's like, I almost wanted to go stomp a mud hole in him at that point because
He knew
he
what it
knows
meant.
where that's all going.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I think there's a lot of people might be able to say I didn't know, but I think a lot more people are gonna have to say like, I ain't saying nothing at this point because they knew something was up.
Yeah. It's really, I mean, and I say this about streamers all the time. Doesn't it seem like once you get to a certain level, it's like everyone's a scumbag? Like the entertainment industry seems like that at some,
Like lawyers.
it's like does it take being a scumbag to make it to the top? Or once you make it, does it make you, the pressures are too much that it makes you a scumbag? But it does seem like, you look at other situations, like maybe not the hip hop community, but like with Harvey Weinstein and the allegations surrounding those. And it's like, you could watch old Family Guy episodes where they're joking about Weinstein. It's like everybody knew. They all knew, but it was like, well, we're making a lot of money, and I'm not going to be the one to rock the boat, so we'll just go along like it's business as
15
usual.
years of R. Kelly peeing on people jokes.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
it's I think from having done, cases of people where they've been accused of assaulting, children and other people in inappropriate ways, those types of positions where there's that power and that access, they draw people to those situations. That's why you do see it as, coaches, teachers, religious figures. You see it, and there's a common thing that draws them there. It's that control, the authority, and the access. Well, Harvey Weinstein was going to be a scumbag no matter what. It's just he got lucky and got to a point where he could be that scumbag. Diddy, I mean, think about Diddy, all the things he did going back with like J Lo and Shine when they had
Yep.
I remember reading about that as a kid. It's
Yep.
like, dude, skated on a shooting. That's pretty hardcore. And now you have like Keefe D, the guy who orchestrated the hit on Tupac. He's like, it sounds like he said, yeah, Diddy told me to do it, or Diddy paid me off to do it. Um, so it's a lot of people who do these really massive bad things, they were bad people, and this is an opportunity for them to act out. And even R. Kelly, when you watch like Surviving R. Kelly, yeah, R. Kelly went through a lot of bad things, but none of those made him do what he did
Right.
once he became an adult.
I think
So,
that's a great point you make there. So my job is I do home health care with people with adults with disabilities. So a lot of autism, a lot of people that are nonverbal. I question
like streamers.
Right, exactly. I question statistics always, but I do believe this. The
Mm-hmm.
rates of like sexual assault to the type of people that I take care of are through the roof. And it's and a lot of people that are in my position are oftentimes predators, because what you find is if you just look at my job, I am basically alone 24 hours a day for most of the week with a person that would have a lot of trouble communicating to someone if they're being taken advantage of. And that tends, just like you'll see a lot of people that work with very young children, like in schools or daycares, when you are put in a position of power and there's very little supervision over you, and there are people that maybe don't have the ability to communicate, to kind of speak up if you're doing something, it does seem to attract that. And I think that it's a different level of it when you're talking celebrity, but that power imbalance is still there, right? Where it's like, oh, well, you're Diddy, you can get away with it. Who's gonna speak up? There's billions of dollars flowing through the entertainment industry there, so who wants to be the first person? And it's weird. I remember, I'm old. I'm 40, so I'm only slightly older than you. I mean, I remember back in the day listening to like Corey Feldman talk about this, and with stories of Corey Haim and all these other people. And then just recently we've seen, I don't know if you saw this, that Quiet on the Set documentary about Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider. Like it's so weird because it's all this stuff that you kind of in your mind imagine, like I bet stuff like that goes on, but when you see like the proof of it, like this guy did this to Drake and he basically gets no time, like a year or two, and then he gets hired at Disney after he serves time for assaulting one of the child stars. And you're just like, is it really that bad? Is it really like your worst fears of the people that you hear that you're kind of like, yeah, I agree with them, it's probably bad, but you're like, my goodness, to see the proof of it, it's shocking.
Yes, is there really a cabal of interdimensional psychic vampire pedophiles?
Get him, Jones. Get him, Alex. Yeah,
Yeah,
doesn't sound so
maybe.
crazy now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell my audience where to find you? Like what times you would be live, or when you'd prefer that people check you out?
Yeah, sure. So you guys can find me over on YouTube at Potentially Criminal. You can find me on Twitter at LawTubeSean. There's a whole reason why I have that instead of Potentially Criminal, and that's because I went to the gulag for a while. So that's where you can find me there. I do a weekly show every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern Time, the only time zone that matters. And we talk about all kinds of fun stuff.